So you missed a great call last week.
Oh my God. When I watched it, I felt I'm like, oh my God, I should have been on. But I've been able to connect to them over this last week. I got a
Did you
call.
use my
What
link?
do you mean your link? Sorry.
There's a referral link that I posted in the
No, I
school.
had already signed up,
Oh,
I would
okay.
say at least a month ago,
Okay.
that when they came out. But when I saw, how do you say his name? Tej?
Each.
Tej, he posted something the day after, I think it was. And I had no, actually it was I watched it on Sunday. Then I think on Sunday or Monday I saw him post something. So I jumped on and I said, "Hi, I saw your interview with Michael. I'm part of the group. I couldn't make the call, but I think amazing things are happening." And then basically, I would say within an hour or something, the other guy, I gotta look up his name,
Chris.
Chris. Chris
Yep.
kind of saw one of my posts. Then he looked my what's on my profile. Then he connected to me, and I think within I don't know within the day or something, I got an email to set up a call, which I did, and I have it. I think in 2 weeks, if I remember correctly.
I had a call with Chris yesterday. Scheduled 15 minutes, lasted about 40. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a great call. Um,
I'm trying to
one of the
find
things
it.
one of the things he mentioned is that of all the people he's talked to, not all the people, but I am so far ahead of most of the people that are signing up.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, that was
not
an
I'm
awesome
not
thing.
surprised.
Well, I'm not.
No, but it's experience, Michael, and
I
you
I
have
I
that
know.
unique
We
ability
talked
to dive into something and figure out the details.
we talked about that yesterday, and he said, yeah, it's that imposter syndrome that we all suffer from. And I said, you know what, you're right, and I do suck at it. The self promotion, and it's but yeah, I'm working on it. I don't know if you saw my post on LinkedIn this morning, but
No, not yet.
I posted a quick little 1 minute excerpt of the video from the call last week, and then also I talked to Jeff yesterday, who's not going to be with us today because he's in sim training,
Yep,
um, getting recurrency done, I guess.
yep.
Um, and he's morning Al.
Good morning.
Um,
Hey, Diddle.
he did a map of a hotel for their slab, plus four
Yep.
slab, and they found seven missing cleanouts that weren't installed that would have cost big bucks to go back and saw cut. Um, so he saved them a bunch of money with that. So that's a good thing. But
Well,
I made I posted up on LinkedIn talking about that, and uh, I threw a blurb in there about the school, and then posted the school link in there. And so yeah, I'm working on it.
Jeff and I were talking last week because I kind of asked him a couple of questions because we're still planning to work together for me to get that workflow with more advanced tools down. And I was saying to him, like, I think between us, Chad, you, me, everybody, as we have these examples, I think we just simply need to make a white paper or something, right? Where we made a write up where we can show what the benefit is, right? Where, hey, here are three examples of how drone data, added something.
Right.
And and then we can all use that, right? When we talk to people, it's like, hey, well, how's it going to make me money? Like you always said, no, it's going to save you money.
Yeah, and that's always the hard question because that's the question that they always ask: how's this going to
Yeah,
make me money? And you just need to lay it out. It's like it's not. I mean, but it will save you money. Will it save you money on every job? I don't know, but
No, but
it will save you money.
it's one of those things where you it's the whole thing about risk, right? And there's a lot of ways how you can sell where you basically say you're trying to offset the risk. And you want to offset the risk every time, even if something doesn't happen. Doesn't mean it couldn't have not happened, right? So it's one of those things. Why can I not find, bloody hell, my appointment with Chris? Oh, there it is. Read it down. So I did that. I booked a call. So why am I not seeing?
Have
Oh,
you
my
signed
God.
up with Rad yet, Al?
Yep, and he hasn't. Nobody's reached out to me.
Okay, he will, because we talked about you yesterday.
Oh, good. Thanks.
So,
Oh, bloody
but I spent 40 minutes on the call yesterday for a 15-minute call. It was awesome. Yeah, I love the energy. I love the direction that they're heading, how they're dealing with us pilots as far as, doing the face-to-face, getting to know us a little bit better. And, we talked about our own networks of pilots that we have. I mean, like Peter and Jeff are out there in West Virginia and Maryland-ish. Morning, Chad. And
Morning, Chad.
one of the things that he brought up yesterday, and it was
There
an
we go.
example because I used you, Al, is that job that I sent you out to wherever that was out east, because I couldn't get to it. He said, "Yeah, if you want to run work through the RAD platform, meaning that you are the client and you want to hire the pilots because you've got work that you can't get to, but you have your own network of pilots, you can very easily do that." And I said, "That's awesome."
That is awesome.
So,
Interesting. Yeah, I accepted a job through there, but there's absolutely no information.
okay, okay, context, more information there. What do you mean there's no information?
There was absolutely there was nothing. I mean, it was just a roof inspection, and there was I reached out to what's his name?
Chris?
Yeah, Chris. I've got nothing from anybody.
He hasn't gotten back to you yet?
No.
Have you done an onboarding with him yet?
Jesus.
I haven't, but I seen his onboarding link, and I scheduled the latest onboarding call.
Okay.
It's like next Thursday.
Yeah, I had one with him yesterday. He reached out to me via text on Saturday. We had a short text conversation. He didn't realize that TJ and I had spent an hour on last Thursday on here. And then it dawned on him because I guess TJ had mentioned it to him, but he didn't put two and two together. And then when we started talking about it, he says, "Oh, you're the guy." I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he says, "Well, do we need to do an onboarding call?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, I would like to do an onboarding call." So I just went ahead and set it up, and it was yesterday, and it went from 1 to 1:30, 1:40-ish, covered a lot of ground. And one of the questions that he brought up, he said, "Are you opposed to doing something other than map construction?" I said, "Look, I know that construction is the space that I live in. I'm good at it. But I know there are things that are adjacent to that where it's the similar job for me, but it's just a different thing." And he brought up a couple jobs, one that they did in Atlanta and one in Indiana, I think he said it was. But they were basically just doing a linear map of the streets because they're going to put in new data lines, and they wanted to see what was in place so they had a better handle on what existing conditions were and how it was going to affect traffic flows and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, it's still the same thing that I do. And he's the only difference than what you do is because we talked about my workflow. And I brought up, I always set up a base and I always shoot control, whether it's called for or not. But on these particular jobs, with the time constraints that were required by the client, you wouldn't have time to do that. So it's just get out there, fly at RTK, and call it a day, and you're done. So we all he laughed and did some quick math, and that 1,800 acre job that the other company offered me. He said, "Yeah, what is that, like $4 an acre?" It's like maybe not even. So but yeah, they're trying to do it right by, and they're trying to do it right by his pilots. We talked about that job that he did down in Eads where I had to fly it twice, the 50-foot double grid with 2,000 photos. He said that would not even have gone out past, what did he call them? Or it would have never made it out to the network. That job would have never been posted. And having clients set up the flight paths and whatnot, that's not something that they're going to do. Because not everybody speaks our language, so they're not, I won't say they're clueless, but they don't have the knowledge to set it up properly to get exactly what they want. And one of the things that map that I did at Eads, it was the truck stop. When I flew it the second time at 50 feet, I had trucks moving through the space, and it just ghosted really bad. So I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. He said, yeah, stuff like that won't happen. He said it may slip through the cracks, but it's up to the pilot at that point just to turn it down and say this is why, and then they will deal with the client and fix that. But he said that should have never went out over their network, which I agree. But I'm not comfortable flying a mission that somebody else has laid out.
That was
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, it was bad. So
I
But
just,
anyway.
two things. I started, as I'm not having a conversation with them yet, I was on a website. I'm like, hey, I can start uploading video for their AI projects.
Right.
And that's when I actually discovered that I somehow switched my video on my M3E from 4K to HD. That's where I thought I said, my video just looks kind of grainy. Yeah, I didn't see that I did that because I always switch with the buttons, not with the menu. If you switch to the buttons, you don't see that menu pop up. And now I could have had probably another 15 to 20 videos I could have uploaded from like 2-3 minutes. I uploaded about 60 gigs of data, and I now have 4,533 points.
I think I'm sitting at 49 or 47.
Yeah. So I'm like, and
So
I can do the ones from yesterday. So my point summary, what does it say?
yeah,
But
so that's something else. If you're already plugged into the network,
yeah,
'cause that,
I
we
was like, why
talked
would
about
I
that.
not do that?
Yeah, we talked about that at the end of the call last Thursday because I brought up that side of
Yeah.
it. And I think that's an awesome idea because I mean we don't know what our data's worth. We don't know what people are going to need.
Mhm.
And that's always been my thing is, I don't know how the end user is going to use what. I mean, I have a pretty good idea, but they're going to find ways to use this data that I haven't thought of, and good for them. But it's just
They're smart.
yeah, if they can make money off of footage that I've got sitting on my hard drives that I've not used for anything else.
Yep.
And like you said, everything's been scraped off of YouTube and off the internet right now. So any data that we have is going to be fresh data for the AI. So anyway.
I just saw 2 missions pop up in Dover, Delaware.
Yep. I saw this morning.
But they are, well, I'm looking here with autopilot. Well, they're in the 200 feet part of Dover. So that's not bad. Because I would think the Air Force Base I would need to. But I can do a lands approval.
I just check for TFRs.
Yeah. And the only thing is, for me to drive to Dover,
Yeah.
of a good hour and a half for $90.
Yeah. And we talked
What platform
about
is that?
that. What's that?
Sorry?
What platform is that?
Rad.
Rad.
Okay.
Have you signed up yet, Al? Yeah, we talked about
That's not-
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an
So,
hour and a half for me to get there.
well, there's two jobs, so you combine the two
180.
jobs. That's $180. I don't know if that's worth your time or not. Because I think I looked at them. I think they're both roof inspections. So
Yeah, it seems to be a
and
lot of that.
yeah, and that's one of the things that I have not seen. I mean, I played around on the platform a little bit. Obviously, I've got no jobs out here in California. I said I'm not in California. Wow, wow, that's a really bad Freudian slip. Um, no jobs in Colorado at the moment, but I've been looking at the other jobs. And Chad, to what you said, there's really not a lot of information there. It's like, okay, it's a roof inspection.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are the parameters for that inspection? That needs to be detailed out.
What are
So
the
that
deliverables?
yeah. So we're just delivering we're not, so as far as I understand this, we're not doing any of the processing.
Okay.
They're doing all that on their end. So, but again, what are they looking for? What's the shot list? What's the, you know, what exactly do they want for a quote unquote roof inspection? Because one man's roof inspection is not the same as another man's. So,
Exactly.
that's something that needs to be clarified.
Yeah. I did the roof inspection course on DLA, and in the end you have to do your test, right? And you sign up through Drone Quote. And in the class they say it's free. No, it's not free. It's $30 a month now. So I signed up, I did that. They sent me and I had to kind of knock on the door again, like, hey, did you check my thing? Oh yeah, we forgot. Here it is. And I got my certificate, and I cannot freaking find the email anywhere. It's not a spam, junk, deleted, anywhere. Somehow I don't have it. So I emailed them and said, hey, would you mind sending it again? 3 times. No answer. Now their website has changed. They have a new website. My old login doesn't work anymore. I said, forget password. Don't get any message, nothing. And I'm like, they're still charging me $30 a month every month, right? I'm like, okay, I'm done with you guys because I'm sorry. It's bullshit. But I think the only thing I can do is tell my credit card company to block the charge, right? Because it's, is the guy still on DLC? Maybe I can reach out to him there. What's his name again? The roofing guy. I can look it up what his name is. And
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know.
Montoya.
yeah, that's him. And I'm like, come on. And I've emailed their info@dronequote.com multiple times. Nothing. No response.
Sinue Montoya.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Sinue and Montoya.
I am going to send him
I
a
can remember
message
the first
right
name.
now. Member name.
The Chad, I say, almost got into a pissing match with Mike Detweiler on LinkedIn.
Who's he?
Mike Detweiler, he's huge in the survey industry. Big name. Chad posted something about volumetrics,
Yeah.
and then Mike jumped back in and said, "Well, there's also the flip side of that, where there was $25,000 of that wasn't there, or however he phrased it." And yeah, there are those pilots out there
Oh,
that'll
absolutely.
provide bad data, but you did a really good job defending your position on that. It
Did he
was a good way to
respond?
go. Yeah, so good job on that.
Thank you.
But if you're not active on LinkedIn, we all know that you should be.
Yeah.
Not looking at anybody in particular here, except for that guy in the top right corner with the black hat on. Um,
Wait, Chad and I were talking about it yesterday. I started posting more regularly, and all kinds of people are connecting to me. All kinds of people are starting to like my things. I'm looking at like 600, 700, 800 impressions or views on the post, right? And all of a sudden people start connecting to me. I'm like, who is he? Oh, he's a drone pilot, or he's a drone company person, or he's a construction person. It doesn't take much to get noticed or to get found,
It
or how
does.
would you say that?
This month I'm pushing that page on LinkedIn. And that post that Michael's talking about is nearly 2,000.
Well, and here's part of why that happened. I mean, I look at some of the things that I've posted, and my posts since Geo Week when I was hanging out with Rami and a couple surveyors that have a big presence on here, and Elaine from what is her company? She's got a marketing company out of
Yeah,
England.
marketing
They,
company.
they all have huge followings. And by getting my face on those pages, Jason Sansucci, I mean, another one, the two of us sitting there eating lunch with the cowboy hats on, they got
Yep.
thrown up on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of traction with that. And some other things are already getting traction because of that. And it's like, this is a good thing. I mean, I need to be more active. And we talked about this at the beginning of the call before the rest of you showed up. Peter and I did. I suffer severely from imposter syndrome. One of the questions that I always ask on these calls are you guys getting value from this? That's really important to me, because just the fact that y'all want to hang out with me on a Thursday morning at 6 or 8 a.m. is just still crazy to me. But, I appreciate y'all showing up. So, but it's one of the things that I need to work on, which, I started doing this morning, and, yeah, but anyway. What else we got? Peter, you posted up on the school this morning or last night. What you've got going on? How about enlightening us a little more?
Well, I was thinking about it because I was talking to Chad about it yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, if I tell that to the group tomorrow, that takes up way too much time. I don't want to do that.
No, it's okay. I mean, I figured we would talk about last week's call a little bit, which we've done. But yeah, it's an open forum. I mean, if you got something to say here, let's hear about it and let's pick
Well,
through it. And
I know that sometimes I talk a little much and I can keep going.
you,
And it makes
not
it
you.
look like, yeah, and I don't do this on purpose, Al. I'm sorry. I really don't. I'm like Michael. I don't like to self-promote, but sometimes I get really enthusiastic.
All right,
then I
I'm going to
just
call
keep talking.
bullshit on that. Okay, you're a salesman, Peter, at heart. That's what
Yeah,
you do.
don't
You and
try
Al
it.
both.
Yeah,
That's
don't
what
try
you
it.
both do. So
Yeah.
I can represent something or a product or something, but me, Peter, no, I don't like that.
If you
And I
believe
know
in
it's like,
something,
I can
it's
stand in front
selling
of a group of
every minute.
100 people and present, no problem. If somebody says, "Hey, Peter, do you want to come up here? We want to take him," like, oh no, right? Because I feel if I stand up for a product or a service or something, then I represent that, not me, right? So
Yeah, but if you
But,
believe in something, which you do, you back it 100%, and it's a good thing because you know the value it brings and the problems it can solve.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. I sell Michael all the time.
he doesn't come cheap though, but no, the first thing that happened on Monday, I met with the executive director of a historical home foundation here. They do weddings, events, and everything. They have a wine festival, and the architect guy that I know said, "Hey, I talked to them. I thought they need some drone footage for the wine festival in September." And he said, "But Peter, but they told me they don't have any money. If he's willing to accept 2 wine tickets, yeah, we can talk." I'm like, "Yeah, of course I am." And he really told me, like, do work for a nonprofit. You'll get to know people and it'll come back multiple times, right?
yep.
So I met with her, super nice lady, simply started talking about what can we do. And then kind of started feeding the conversation to, hey, how can we do some promotion? Because right at this moment, they're adding this large section to the building, which is going to be part of their event center, like a new area that the architect has designed, right? That's how it's all connected. So I said, hey, we can do some construction monitoring just for you to use with your donors, because they have a lot of people that give a lot of money for all this. So she's like, oh my God, that would be great. It evolved in all kinds of things like, hey, how do you plan your event? Oh, we got this like old printout of the property, like it's kind of, washed out. I said, how about I just make a map, a top-down map, and you can draw everything on there, right? Here is a stage. Here are the porta potties, right? She's like, oh my God, that would be great. Okay, fine. Kind of started talking about construction and stuff. Mentioned cut and fill, and she flipped it on me. She said, can you calculate how much mulch I need to order? I was like, well, if I identify all the areas where you need mulch, then then I get a square footage and I can turn that into a volume, right? So ChatGPT helped me with that. It is area in square footage times the thickness divided by 324. That's how simple it is to go to cubic yards.
Yep.
And so I identified all the areas, and I told her, I said, I probably have a couple where you said, oh, we don't need it there. No problem. We can take it out, right? But basically I said, okay, 1 inch of if you do 1 inch of mulch on all these beds, which I know you're going to do more, you're already at 65 cubic yards, right? And then, okay, you need to figure out with somebody how many truckloads it is. But she's like, oh my God, we're every year, we're like, have to reorder and this and that. I said, okay, let's just use this. And so she's reviewing that. I did a whole bunch of pictures. I already uploaded the pictures to her yesterday of the building being done. The drone footage was a little bit more difficult. I was flying my Mini 4, and I just ordered a skin for it because it's gray against those trees with no leaves and gray, all kind of grays color. There were moments I couldn't freaking see my drone at like 15, 20 yards, right? It just blended in. And there's all these big trees right around the stuff that they're building. So it's pretty difficult to get a clear shot. I was able, last night, I quickly edited a couple things. I'm like, okay, I can give a nice overview where you come in on one side and then with a drone going away. But I think I might even, I've already talked to them, by the way, about MEP scans. And the contractor, the superintendent, he's like, yeah, we take pictures. I said, well, I'm doing it for free for her, so I'll make one and I'll just use the Radex because it doesn't cost me anything, right? It costs me a few dollars. And I said that way, you have everything visualized for if you ever need to change anything. And everything I feed to her, to the architect, and pretty soon I'll have the contact information at the building company, so everybody starts seeing what we can do. So that's been exciting, and I think that will, she's like, Peter, the way we work in our little town or county, you help me, I'll help you, and I help you twice, right? So that's what I do. I'm like, okay, great. We'll just keep doing that. I also met with a marketing company, which actually her target audience is blue collar, construction people, electricians, carpenters, HVAC. Those are the companies she helps. And we had a great conversation, I thought, but at the end it was like really well, I guess we'll see each other. And I'm like, I was connected to her by somebody who said, hey, she has a Harford County trade organization for the trades. And he said, hey, Peter, might be good to connect to these people. I think she thought I came in for marketing advice. And I'm telling her, hey, I've done this. I put my trifold on the table, and she's like, Can I keep this? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, I think she completely misunderstood why I was there. I sent her an email on it. I said, I think we have a misunderstanding. And if I'm wrong, just tell me so. If you said, hey, I don't like you and I don't want to have you connected to my people, fine. Right? She hasn't responded, but and in an hour, I'm meeting with one of the people of the county of their tourism board. I had met the director 2 meetings ago, and I just kept dripping on her. And I know she was really busy with a new website that just came out, and they need footage. So I'm going to go there. I kind of made a proposal yesterday because you get the email. Can you give us a proposal? And I'm like, I can, but for what? Pictures, video, and events? So how about we just talk first about what it is that you need, right? And I'm kind of looking at my little spreadsheet. Hey, what do I charge? And I'm like, for an hour of taking video, drone footage or something, I'm kind of coming to a point of like, $249. I don't know. I checked a couple of other drone pilots in the area that do aerial footage. They seem to be a little bit higher. But at $249, I need to do a lot of jobs to make a living, right? So part of me is like, okay, am I not charging enough? Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. That was a conversation that Jeff and I had yesterday. He's done some video work and some photos, and he did not price them out. I said, this is where I'm at with that. So what is your drive time? His drive time was less than 20 minutes. I said, all right, we're not going to charge for drive time.
Yep.
What So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could charge them a set